Okay, folks, we'll be learning how to read and write binary in this video. Feel free to follow along on your own sheet of paper. In fact, if you want to re-watch the video after watching it once and then follow along on a sheet of paper, that might work for you too. Just want to make sure that you get a feel for actually doing it. That's the important thing. So remember that all binary information is actually numbers. Only numbers. So everything we work with will be, of course, in numbers. In another video, you're going to learn how the numbers become letters and other things, but for now, just numbers is all you get. So you might recall from earlier that binary is like a group of switches. All computers are really just a huge amount of electrical switches being turned on and off. For a single bit, we have 0 for when it's off and 1 for when it's on. Right? So 0 is the off state and 1 for when it's on. And and if you remember, when we put 3 bits together, we go beyond 0 and 1. So let's do this. Let's have 3 bits, which are 3 spaces right here, and we're going to go beyond 0 and 1. So each switch or bit has a number value associated with it. The one on the right is still either 0 or 1. So I'm going to put here a 1, you'll see in a moment. But the one to the left of it is actually 0 or 2. And so for each, they're either worth 0 when they're turned off, or they're worth their particular value, in this case 1 or 2, when they're turned on. And the third one here is either 0 or 4. And these are the number values assigned to these bits. So in this case, and then we could, you're going to see me put the line through the zeros a lot. And not necessarily every time, but a lot. And when I do it, because it helps distinguish from the letter O, but it's just a programmer's habit. So, all right, so where do these values come from, the 1 and the 2 and the 4? Well, they get bigger as they go. From right over to left, they get bigger. And they're always powers of 2. And so if you remember, 2 to the 0 is equal to 1. 2 to the 1 is 2. 2 squared, or 2 to the second, is 4, right? So when we have some binary, in this case just 3-bit binary, we really had to have a set of ons, on, and off. So we have a set of ons and offs. And that tells us what numbers to turn on and to turn off. So I'm going to clear some of this information we don't need, right? You don't need to know the powers of 2 beneath each of these, but you do need to know the values, right? So let's do this. Maybe that makes a little bit more, let's clean it up a little bit. So we really have 3 bits, 1 that's off, but it would have been worth 1, and 2 that are turned on that are worth 2 and are worth 4. So what do we do then with these numbers? So we have values, right? What do we do? Well, we add them. That's how that works. We always add them. Binary is additive process only, never subtraction. So whatever is turned on, in this case, the second bit and the third bit, the 2 and the 4, we add to the total. And whatever is turned off, in this case, the first bit with the value of 1, that just gets skipped. It's worth 0. So you can see that it does nothing, of course, when it adds to the rest. So you add them all, but it's like adding 0. I don't have that value, plus 2 plus 2 plus 4. So let's do this over here. Draw a little line, and this is the area where we're going to operate on this. So we have 0 for the first bit, plus 2, the value of the second bit because it's turned on, and 4, the value of the third bit also turned on. 0, 2, 4 is 6. So the binary is 1, 1, 0 for these 3 bits, but the decimal value is 6. So we just read some binary and actually got the number out of it. So that's pretty cool. But let's do another one. So I'm going to go ahead and clear this off and let's start again. Let's just do another 3-bit binary. And so always, this is the sequence. First bit is 1. Second bit, 2. Third bit, 4. Those don't change because they are the powers of 2 in sequence. You can calculate them again and again, always the same. All right, so what do we want to do for this one? How about a different binary value? Let's do 0, 1, 1 for our 3-bit binary. And so in this case, we have, what are the numbers that we get out of this? I'll just write them down here. So when this is turned off, the number value, 0. When this is turned on, it's worth 2. When this is turned on, it's worth 1. Okay, cool. Over here then, what are we going to do with these? We're going to bring these up. And that means we have, let's see, reading from, I always read from right over to left, starting with the smallest number there. So it's 1 plus 2 plus 0. That's a plus sign. And so we get 1, 2, 3 plus 0. There we go. And so the value of 0, 1, 1 in our 3-bit binary example is 3. Cool. I hope this makes sense. So now let's look at some more bits. And this is going to give us the possibility of much higher numbers. So a standard byte is 8 bits. So let's make some space for that. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. And what values do we have for all of these 8 bits? Well, powers of 2, of course. I'm going to put the powers of 2 down here. 2 to the 0, 2 to the 1, 2 to the 2, and so on. To the 7th, of course, for the 8th bit because we start at 0. All right, and the values for that, they come out to be, so this is an 8-bit byte, which is the most common. I mean, that's what you're going to see everywhere. And it's also called an octet. I'm going to write that there so you can see that. I probably mentioned octet like all over the place. Oh, and I have terrible spelling. Just octet, just like that. All right. And that means an 8-bit set. Cool. All right, so we've got here, I want to look at the powers of 2 a little different way, actually. So since 2 to the 3rd actually means 2 multiplied by 2 3 times, 2 times 2 times 2, then every time we have a higher exponent, we're really saying to multiply the last number by 2, right? So here's 2 one time, and then here's 2 another time, so it's just multiply this one by 2. So this one by another 2. Then that one by another 2, and so on down the line, right? Cool. So that's another way of looking at it. So it doubles each time. And so 2 to the 3rd is 8, right? So we have already 1, 2, 4. We've done that in our 3-bit binary. Double it, 8. Double that, 16, right? It's just an easier way to look at it. And then 32 and 64 and 128. Cool. So those are the values that we need for our 8-bit byte that we're going to be working with here. Cool. Terrible at drawing rectangles. I get impatient at the end. Curve it off there. So it's so if all of the bits were turned on, then we would add all of these together, 1 through the 128, and that would give us 255. And so the possible numbers for this byte is anywhere between 0 and 255. And since we include the 0, that's 256 possible combinations. Possible numbers. Awesome. But there's an easier way to know how many possible numbers there are and what the maximum is. We can just do that by doubling the last one. So if we took the 128 and doubled it, right, we'd get 256. And that's how you know how many possible numbers there are in any, X number of bit sequence. So that's just a convenient way, and which I hope makes sense, because if we had a 9th bit there, then that would be double the 128, right? And then it means that everything below it must be less, must add up to 1 less than that, and that's how that goes. So, all right. Let's read some more binary, and I'm going to erase this and start over so it's a little bit cleaner. So let's make our 8 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 8 bits. And they are again 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and 128. Very cool. All right. And so if we're given the byte 1001, 1011, what is that when it comes out to decimal? Okay, well, it's all in place, and so we're just going to add for everything that's turned on. And, true to the way I did it before, I'm going to set aside a little space here, and I'm just going to start from the right and the smallest number, and I'm just going to put placeholders in for everything and create a little math problem here. So the 1 is turned on. Cool. The 2 is turned on. All right. The 3rd bit, or the 4, is not turned on. It's a 0. The 8 is turned on. The 16 is turned on. The 32 is not. The 64 is not. But the 128 is. All right. Now we have a little math problem. Okay. 1 and 2 is 3. 3 and 8 is 11. And 11 and 6 is 17, and 17 and 8 is 25. And so then we carry the 2, of course, and 2 plus the 1 is 3, plus the 2 is 5. And then we end up with, we just have just this 1 sitting there to bring down, and we have the value 155. All right, excellent. So it's actually really easy to do this conversion, right? So it doesn't matter which order you actually take. I start from the right-hand side, force of habit for me. You can go any way you like. It's just I do from the least. Well, I should actually explain this. This is called the least significant bit. It's often abbreviated LSB, and this is the most significant bit. And I just have a habit of starting from the least significant bit. It doesn't really, matter which way you do this, but anyway, least significant bit, and then that one over there is most. So it's least or most. And that refers to not necessarily 1 and 128. It refers to in any set of bits, whatever is the smallest value, and in a full binary set, the smallest is always 1. And then the most significant bit in our 3 bit example would have been 4. Right? That would have been the most significant there. So anyhow, all right, let's read another byte. Get some practice here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and give us our values. If you're following along, this should be like fun, but also a little tedious to rewrite the numbers. Well, it helps you remember your powers of 2. You can rattle them off pretty quickly after you get a little practice with this. All right, so what do we want here? This is our binary. 0B 1 1 0 0 0 1 0 0. Okay, well, first things first, what is this 0B? Well, that 0B in the front is there to indicate that the remaining values that come after it are binary information. So 0 and 1 are regular numbers. If you can imagine starting some binary that looks like this, and you just put that in front of somebody and say, there you go, there's the information. How do they know if that's the number 1001 or if it's actually binary? And so you put the 0b in the front, and when you do that, then it's pretty clear that you've got 4 bits that follow, and that information is zeros and ones of binary and needs to be converted over. Whenever you see the 0b followed by some information, if for it to be valid, it must be followed by just zeros and ones, and that indicates that, well, what you're seeing is binary. That must be converted. All right. So, anyhow, so let's take a look at some other, yeah, I think it'd be a good idea. I'm going to show you some other examples of this so that you can see what out in the real world what you might encounter. So other than just 0b, you might encounter some variations, and the purpose is to add as much information as possible to the prefix. You get to watch me erase, right? Isn't that exciting? All right, so you've got a 0b, and okay, that tells you something, but what happens when you come across something like this out in the real world? You see a 7b. Well, it tells you that what's going to follow should not be mistaken for an 8-bit byte, but is actually going to be a 7-bit byte. There's only 7 there, 4 zeros, 3 ones. And so that prefix there, the 7, tells you, yes, it's binary, but it's binary with something special going on. And you might also see this out there. You might see something like 0011, 0110. So that's a full 8-bit byte. And then you see at the end, you see this big B. Okay? That's the same sort of thing as 0B. It just means there's binary. And you might also see this. In fact, I think this is the one you see out on Google. I can't quite remember. Try typing in binary in Google, by the way, and see what this. It'll tell you how many search results you got. I think they tell you in binary like this. So you'll see something like this, and then dot dot dot. So the bin, the B at the end, the 0B, or a number B, right, which could easily be not something other than 7, such as 6B or 4B, right? You'll see that, all that stuff out there. So, okay. Little diversion, but hope that helps. So let's get back to our byte. Okay. We put the values on the frame here as usual, and let's do this. 1, 1, 0, 0, 0. 1, 0, 0. And what do we have? So, for our math problem here, clear a little space, least significant bit, 0. The 2, 0. 4 is in. I'm not even going to put plus near all of this. You know by now what I'm doing. No 8, no 16, no 32, yes to a 64, and yes to 128. All right. So 4, and 4 is 8, and 8 is 16. All right, great. And then we've got to carry the 1. 7, 9. And then carry the 1 down. Great. So we have 196. This set here, 11000100 is 196. Excellent. Okay. Well, we're limited. We're limited with an 8-bit byte here to 0 through 255. Let's try that. Let's do that actually. Let's do the full thing just so that you can see the limits of it here. That's 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and 128. Great. All ones. What happens in that case, huh? Terrible angle. 1 and 2 and 4 and 8 and 16 and 32, 64, and 128. All right. Well, 3, 7, 15. Oh, don't want to cause any confusion here. 15, 21, 23, 27, and 35. So 3 and 4, 7, 13, 15. All right, and a 1 plus 1 is 2. And there you have it. So with all ones, all switches turned on, all bits turned on, it's 255. Beautiful. That's exactly how it should be. All right, so how do we go beyond that limit? So we can have 2 bytes, but then we'd end up with just 2 different blocks, right, of 255 possible. You put those next to each other, great. That's a little better, but that doesn't give us too much there, right? So what do? Well, we don't need more bytes. We don't need another one. What we need is more bits. Let's add more bits. Okay. Let's take a look at the layout if we add 8 more bits. So this makes a 16-bit word. That's what this will be. And now let's make some space. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's our original. That's the first byte. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm leaving room for a reason. All right, so what do we get here? Well, you remember, so these are the original. We end at 128, and you double it, if you recall. So the least significant bit over in this byte would have been 1 if it was a separate byte, but adjoined, now it's not the least significant bit, it's 256, and we keep going. So 256, 512, 1024, 2048, 4096, 8192, 16,384, and then 32,768. That's the value of the new most significant bit in this situation, but the LSB is still 1. Wow, what a difference. I mean, look at how much that scales up, right? Whew. So, with 1 byte, this is just amazing how much more information we can fit. 1 byte, we have 0 through 255 is our range, which is 256 numbers that we can put in. But with 2 bytes, we have 0, and what's our maximum? Well, do you remember from just earlier in this video how to find the possible numbers, the amount of numbers that are possible in a set of bits? It was take the highest, the most significant bit, and double it, and that gives you the number of possible values. So in this case, we double the 32,768, and we get 65,536 possible numbers. That's an N. No need to be a perfectionist, but it's easier if you can read it. All right. And because we start at 0, the highest value we can actually have is not 65,536. It's just one less. 65,535. And that is the maximum number that we can get in a 16-bit word. All right. Very cool. So yeah, this a lot more information. And if you remember, by the way, a 64 kilobytes, I don't know if we covered that in the other video. It just so happens that, for example, 64 real kilobytes is 65,536. So 64K, which is commonly referred to with kilobyte, is the same number of bytes that we have here. So it's this powers of 2 that is behind everything. Repeating pattern. You see it in all of this. All right. So let's go ahead and do a 16-bit word in binary. So how about this? Let's do 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1. That's the first byte, or the leftmost byte, right? The most significant byte, I guess you could say. Never use that, never say that, but whatever. 1, 0, 1, and then 0, 0, 1, 1, 0. Let me double check that this is the one that I had planned to do. 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, yep. And then 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0. And it's actually pretty common, by the way, to break bytes into 4-bit sections when reading them off. Maybe you've heard me in other situations say something like 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1. It's just easier. It's somehow, I can remember it when I do it in groups of 4, but whatever. So what do you think this is worth? Whew, there's a lot there. So we of course follow the same process as we did for a single byte for just an 8-bit situation. All of the ones and zeros are on our frame, which means that we can turn on and off the numbers, right? And now we just have to do some math. So let's clear some space to do the math here. And that'll allow us to do, because we've got a whole bunch of numbers in there, I'm going to skip the zeros, and which you'll probably be comfortable doing, now too at this point, but there should be enough room, I think. All right, and let's go ahead and walk through them. So we've got 2 and 4, and then the next is 32, and then 128, 256, 1024, 2048, and 8192. All right, did I catch all those? We got the 2, the 4, the 32, 128, 256, 1024, 2048, and 8192. All right. So what do we get? 2 and 4 is 6, 8, 16, 22, 26, and 34, and 36. All right. So then 3 and 3 is 6, 8, 13, 15, 19, and then 28. All right. Then 2 and 1 is 3, 5, 6. All right. And then we have no carryover. And then we have 1 and 2 is 3 and 8 is 11. And that's all we got. So this binary of 0010, 1101, 1010, 0110 is 11,686. And it's pretty time consuming to do such a large number. But knowing how to do it, that's the goal. And that's the gold, I guess I should say. That's awesome. All right, so you can read a binary value of any length now. So just follow the same pattern for 32-bit values or 64-bit values. I mean, can you imagine? So this is 16-bit, right? 2 bytes put together. Double that, and you have a 32-bit value, right? 4 bytes that you've got together. That's, talk about time consuming, right? But awesome power there. And you just follow the same process. You do the same thing. Lay them out, keep doubling the number, right? And that's how you assign the values. And then when you turn on and off the switches, you go and add up all of the values. And that's all there is to it. So I think that's a good stopping point there on the reading of binary. And we'll do, in another lesson, we'll do how to write out binary. So thanks for joining, and we'll see you in the next video.